Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Another exciting show, another exciting guest, all the way from, let me get this airplane trip right. All the way from London to Chicago, and had to make a stop on the show from Chicago to Indianapolis.
That's right, that's true.
We got in studio the one, the only, the influencer herself, the artist herself, the social media icon, Sabrina Deptuch in the house. What's up, baby girl?
Very good, thank you. All good, thank you. And first of all, thank you for having me here and inviting me here. I'm very honored to be here.
Let me get this accent. Polish.
Yeah, that's right. You guessed right. I was born in Poland. Before moving to London, where I live now, yes.
I read your bio. Oh my God. That's a book. That's a book.
Well.
What a very interesting story. But before we get into the story and something that I'm truly am curious about, the Gold Blue Dust Project, which we'll talk about in a minute, because that's your baby.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
Tell me a little bit about you. Who are you?
Well, I say I'm creative coder, artist, and storyteller, and social media influencer.
Right.
Storyteller because I love telling story to people, and that's what Gold Blue Dust is all about as well.
You grew up. The UK and Poland are probably one and the same. I don't know much about international waters. Tell me what's that like?
Tell me what, sorry.
You're Polish. What's that like being Polish? What was it like for you?
So I grew up in southeast part of Poland in a place called Rzeszów, and I spent all my childhood there. And then I went to school and university, and then I moved to London straight after that. What it was like? It was different, definitely different than now. It's very different, I would say. We didn't have that time when I was growing up. We completely didn't have access to technology. It was before internet, before anything we have now. So our life was, I would say, very limited at that time. So every knowledge, everything, you have to really put a lot of effort to get. It wasn't easy to get your head around. So you have to work hard to start there and move somewhere else, I would say.
When you say you had to work hard, I'm pretty sure the culture is a lot different than here in America.
Yeah.
And you being a female, what's it like being a female growing up? Were there opportunities for you? And because you did say there were limited opportunities, what were the opportunities for you as a female growing up in Poland?
Growing up. So this particular environment I was growing up, where I was growing up, I would say that, first of all, we were always getting this message to almost like keep our head low, almost apologizing for existing. Like, everyone else is better than us, and everyone is smarter and more talented and more.
Who is this coming from? Is this coming from the government, or is this coming from?
No. I think it was coming from the kind of culture that time and this place. So it was people were kind of living this.
Fear factor is what it sounds like.
Yeah. I think it was that time what we were told. So it really took me some work to shift that mentality around, really.
When you say to shift that, your mindset, is this a cultural thing? I mean, what was the reason for making you guys feel less than what you were? I mean,
I think it was first of all, it was time that it was before times changed. So it was literally this sort of mindset which was making you kind of smaller than smaller. I think it was mindset of we are here living this quite basic life, but everything else, the great things are somewhere else in this another universe, like great universe where people are talented, and so at least that was the message I was getting. That it's really not for us. We here have this simple life, and everything great is somewhere else.
What kind of opportunities were you allowed to have? Or what did your culture feel as a female that you can have and be accepted and not going out of the boundaries? Because evidently they set boundaries on what you can have. You realize you can have an abundance, but what were your limitations as far as opportunities there? What could you do?
Well, so I figured out very quickly that I kind of don't want to stay and live like this for my entire life. So I knew quite quickly that I want to, well, I can say it, run. So I knew in a very early age that I want to leave and I want to find my opportunity somewhere else. And luckily for me, I was doing quite well at school. So I basically worked. I managed to go through school, and then I managed to go to university. So I left my home at the age of 19 to go to study to the other city. And I think that was the only opportunity I saw that time to change. I have to leave, basically, and look for my opportunity somewhere else.
How did your parents feel about you trying to change the trajectory, the mindset? Were you the first in your culture, in your family tree to do this?
Well, it's an interesting question, because my parents always supported me as such. Supported me going to the university, but I think it took quite a while for them to accept this kind of
rebellion, mindset, rebel.
Yeah,
I'm gonna change the way.
It takes a while.
Yeah,
it's hard work, and you would be surprised how sometimes it's hard to explain to people that it's just nothing against you. I just don't want to be like everyone else.
Did you get met with a lot of resistance from the people who in your country live by the cultural standards? Yeah. Were you met with a lot of resistance?
I would say quite a lot. Yeah. You have to basically prove everything yourself, that I can do this, I can do that. But sometimes changing people's mind is really impossible. You have to often just leave them behind.
Now, you wind up going to college over in London, abroad, and stuff, and definitely that's a completely culture change. Then you come to the United States and see something totally different. But let's stick with women, not men, but just women. Mm-hmm. What were the things that, if you was in Poland at that time, that women were expected to do? Were they expected to stay home and cook? Maybe farm? I don't know nothing, so I'm just asking. Yeah. Like what did they expect you to do had you not took it upon yourself to say, I'm not going to do this?
So it's a very interesting question, because I think that time women weren't expected to be at home. They were actually expected to go to work, but at the same time doing all the things at the household. So women were expected to do a lot, in fact, but not what they wanted, but what was expected of them. So looking after children, looking after household, but at the same time going out there and work. That was the culture.
What kind of jobs were available for a woman? And
lots of women would be teachers or nurses or, I don't know, librarians. But it was not many women you could see in like tech work or, I don't know, driving a car. So it was interesting times, really. It changed now. It's changed a lot since I left my home. But
what year did you leave your home?
When?
Yeah, about what year?
It was probably it was probably like 30 years ago.
13 years ago? So you left 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And you wind up residing in London after that, correct?
Yeah, I'm living in London now.
So what made you go to London? You could have went anywhere you wanted to go. Now you don't like what's going on. You want to see change, and change has to start with you. You got to make yourself happy.
Yeah.
But why not just come to the United States?
Well, that time when I decided to move, it was a little bit. I came to London because in Europe, London seems to be the most vibrant, the best place to stay at that time. It was full of opportunities and lots of things happening. But I also wanted to be still close to where I grew up, because we had some hard times as a family, and my dad was ill, so I kind of still wanted to be close to, like, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
could visit and could be around even though not there.
So you wind up going to school in London. You are an artist. What kind of art what was your favorite part of art? What did you do?
So initially I started as an artist, so I was studying paintings, drawings, those sort of things. And I had some great successes as an artist during my study. I produced some exhibitions and it was going great. But even though that time I was already feeling that it's a little bit limited for me, I wanted to do something more, something else. I always had this fascination for technology and computers. I never had a chance to study it when I was growing up, but it was always in my mind. It was like a little bit like a magic.
Did you guys have technology in your home?
Well, when I was growing up, most people still had, like, one phone on the wall and one TV. So it was
Wow.
before the internet and before the.
Wow.
So no, we didn't have no. Now it's different, but
How was it even introduced to you? Like, how did you say you always had a passion for technology and stuff?
Yeah.
How was it introduced to you?
because I was reading a lot, first of all.
Okay.
I watched some movies, I watched like Star Wars and those, and that was a big fascination. I saw this rocket going up there and those computers. so first of all, watching movies, and second of all, I was reading a lot. I was just constantly full of, surrounded by books, and so I knew what was going on. But I always thought that many of those things are unattainable for me. That was my mindset when I started. That it's not for me because,
right.
Oh my God, it's such a long way to.
Do you feel like your country sort of handicapped you or kept you bound by traditions versus growth and development?
That time, long time ago, it was probably a little bit like that. The tradition was so important. It's different now,
Right.
but that time, tradition was strong, and I just didn't even have this mindset to know that it's very deceiving. You can do whatever you want. So I don't know if that was just me.
Right.
Because sometimes you just, how personally we're taking things.
When did your mindset change? Because you're married, you have children. I take it you and your husband Polish?
He's Polish too, yeah.
What was his? Let's talk about him for a minute. A lot of times you have to be evenly yoked. Did he have the same mindset that you had, that he wanted more, or was he more traditional?
Oh no, he was similar like me. I think that's why we got together. Like, he wanted more, and when we met, it was let's do it. So he always I'm very lucky because he always actually supported all my dreams and all my need to change, because that's my main thing. I constantly have this need to do more and to change, not to stay. I think it's the fear I had from the past that you cannot stay in one place. You cannot just sit and relax because you have to do more, because otherwise you're staying behind. So he always actually supported all those my feelings. And
you mentioned the fear of the past that had you change. And shackled, so to speak. You wind up graduating. You wind up working in the field that you like. You're happily married. You have children. How long did it take the shift to really take place? Because you can be happy a little bit, but I don't see that being you. I see you wanting more. About what age or what year did everything start to resonate for you?
So I think the first, I tell you one story. Like the first thing I realized, maybe what people telling me is not true. It was during my university study when we had opportunity to take this part in a scientific experiment. It was something about correlation between IQ and future career choices. So it doesn't matter, but we had chance to take part in this experiment, and as a part of it, we had to take this IQ test. So I thought, well, why not? It's not that I entirely believe in all those IQ tests, but I thought, why not? And it was in very like lab environment, so we had only very strict timing, and it was only pictures, only logic. It doesn't matter what language did you speak or what knowledge you had. It was just the logic, just solving those pictures and those algorithms. And when they announced the result, they said, oh, you're a very smart group, you're going head to head with computer scientists. And there was like 3 people in front of the group, and then a gap and the rest of the group. And I was like first of those 3 people. So I don't think it was a big deal for anyone else. Mm-hmm. But because I thought that I'm like kind of silly, mm-hmm. Like I literally believed that. And for me, it was like, whoa, what? Mm-hmm. What had just happened? I first time in my life, I realized that, well, actually, you're not stupid. You're actually smart, and maybe even very smart. Mm-hmm. So that was the point. It was, I think, as silly as it sounds, it was the defining point for me. It's not that I immediately changed, but I started thinking that, wait a minute, maybe what you're telling me is not actually true, and maybe some people have not the best interest at heart, not your best interest at heart. So you have to be really careful what voices you are listening to. So that was the first point, what got mm-hmm. me watching everything else.
So what was the other part? You got that part, now what's the other part?
What was the other part? So for the next several years, I was working hard. I was achieving one thing after another, and that was literally, it was like gradual work. That I realized that actually I don't have to have this responsibility for other people well-being or constantly seeking everyone's approval. I can just wake up one day and realize that it's absolutely up to me what I'm gonna do. It's a very liberating thought, and it took work and a lot of years of.
You wind up working with one of the major broadcast networks called Sky News Television. How did that even come about?
How that happened? So I mentioned before that I was studying art, mm-hmm. but I realized it's not. It had limited possibilities, so I switched from art to graphic design. And even though it was going great, I thought that technology was moving fast and faster every day. So I decided to study programming, so computer science, especially this part which is connected with the visual part of it. And that time I realized that combining those 2 skills, art and technology, it was very good move, because it was not many people like that who could be artistic and all art, but are very good at the technical skills at the same time. So it was rare. So that's what led me to get that job in Sky News TV. And at that time, it felt great, because those projects were going live. They were like viewed by millions of viewers, and it was sort of like a games, interactive graphics, those sort of things. So people could play with them. So it gave me that sense of doing incredible things. So it was something good which happened.
You wind up working for the company. You wind up being one of the first ladies to do code. I don't know what that means, but
it's just writing, like all those algorithms and the logic behind all the things moving on the screens. This is what I did. Yeah.
You're doing all these things, but are you still finding your joy and your purpose?
So that's interesting, because I would say that time My life was really great. I had this job and I had 2 children by the time, and I was doing this exciting project, and I managed to work for several years. But after several years, I started feeling this kind of overwhelm and burnout a little bit. Because first those projects were exciting, but after several years, they were in a way very similar, because it's always news, things happening quickly, it's always some kind of disaster or event, and you have to deliver for this particular thing. So I decided to quit, and I was feeling like losing that time, because you're losing your monthly salary, protection, security, you kind of losing everything. So
What did your husband say?
So we had 2 small children that time. He was very supporting when I was working in Sky News. He was always proud of what I'm doing and what I'm achieving there. But when I wanted to quit, he kind of he also said, well, you have to change something, because I know you. Once you got those feelings that it's over, it's nothing gonna stop you. So I will definitely support you. So he was very supportive, actually. I'm really grateful for that.
What did you wind up doing? Like, how did you depart from it?
I remember my last conversation with my boss when I was leaving, and he said something like, okay, good luck, and, very difficult times in front of you.
Right.
Because you're leaving this great job and you're never probably gonna get anything similar and all of that. And at first, it seems that he was right, because I did have a few years which I was mostly looking after my kids. I find it quite overwhelming, because it's a lot of work, obviously. But I'm grateful for that, because I get spend time with them. But I always wanted to be creative overall, deep down. That's why I started with art in the first place. So at the side, whenever I could, I started writing this story. You mentioned before Gold Blue Dusts, and I developed the story. I developed those 3 characters. And
so let's hold up for a minute. Keep the viewers on track here. So during this transformation of leaving the news, Sky News Television, you wind up creating something called Gold Blue Dust Project.
That's right.
A story of 3 individuals going through the woods, but all of a sudden you encode them with some type of AI. Did I get it right?
Yeah, so basically, first I developed the story, then I've done the graphic of everything myself, so I literally drew all these characters. Then I thought, no, this is quite boring, so why don't I just make them move? So I started working on those animations, so made them move. That's the part when partially now we can use AI to make them move. So, for instance, they could speak. So, AI is very good in reading the sound wave, and it can give you you could read the sound wave and give you the set of characters. And then I can connect every characters with different pictures, and there you go, mouth speaking in a character. So this sort of thing. So I spent some time developing those animations, and now I've got those characters which can move and speak. And I connected that with that story I wrote earlier. And I'm producing these short videos where I can have conversation with them. It's all about that story. So in the background, I'm telling that story I wrote, but I want to touch a little bit bigger problems and like sort of problems.
What are the bigger problems?
Like a
It
little
sounds.
bit.
It sounds almost. It sounds almost like some type of sky tech. You're like making characters move, but you're giving them some type of consciousness. Where
It is a little bit like that, because I've gathered all those skills I get over the years, like coding, art, animation, voice editing, video editing, like separate skills. I put them all together. It's years of me working.
is this therapy for you? Is this a therapy project? Because
I wouldn't. Yeah, I know what you mean, but
yeah.
I wouldn't entirely said that. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's therapy for me. It's definitely resonates with me loving to be creative
Okay.
and do something which people would be
But they have
watching.
tons of animated stuff out there now with AI. I mean, anybody can probably do it if they set it at the computer. But what makes your story? What makes this different than anything else? Is it because this is you telling your story through the visual effects of this project?
I'm telling maybe not exactly my story, but definitely my experiences. My
Okay.
experiences of change and what I overcome. So definitely through those stories, I'm trying to tell a little bit of that as well.
So 3 characters. Which character is you?
Well, Sansi probably. I've started developing her first. I think it's a like mix between me and my daughter. Because when I was developing that character, my daughter was small, and I was just, I was this kind of mom, and I was like, oh, my daughter. It's everything, yeah.
So your daughter is one of the avatar characters in.
So it's a mix. I think it's a big mix between me, her, and what I always wanted to be, because she's like kind of this kind of perfection. In a
What
way.
did you always want to be? You haven't tapped on that yet. You're giving me a little bit, but you haven't told me, who are you? What do you want to be? You left Poland. You went to London.
Yeah.
You're in Chicago, and you're here in the studio today. I mean, what is it that you want to be? What's the quest here?
It's a very interesting question. What I would like to be. I gathered all those skills and those knowledge over the years, and here I am telling the story. So I think overall I would love to be a storyteller. I would like to be someone who connects past and the future and tell people something positive, something which they can take with them and it's going to make their life better. That's what I would love to be, I guess.
If you look at the story that you're doing now, I call it the avatar.
Mm-hmm.
How much of you would you put in that? Because in order for the avatar story to be good, you're gonna have to put in the dark sides of things that you went through.
Yeah.
How emotional is that going to be for you to put the pain and the trials and tribulations that you went through? Because now, like you said, they're going to reenact your life. How painful is that going to be, and how much of a joy is that going to be for you?
Well, it's always a little bit painful to kind of going back and see all those things I went through. So it's always emotional, a little bit. Now I think I'm kind of make my peace with the past. I don't want to dwell on past too much, to be honest. Because I kind of went through it for many years, and I analyzed it and trying to change and all of that. So I don't want my past to kind of overtake my present, if you know what I mean. I really work hard on this so it doesn't affect me that much. It's hard work. I have to every day like kind of remind myself what is positive and on what I'm doing, rather than, because it's easy to plunge back and kind of like be unhappy that, oh, this happened to me or that happened to me and I had this heartbreak or that heartbreak. I'm working really hard not to do it, because
You're trying not to sabotage your mission.
Yeah, it's
with emotional trauma from the past. Now that you moved on and you're in the United States. What's your purpose being here? You're here for a reason. You're doing things here. You're trying to plant some seeds here in the United States.
I was always fascinated by America. So, yeah, whenever I can visit, I visit. And you invite me. You invited me here. I'm really happy and really grateful and thankful. And I was I'm gonna to see this art.
The Chicago
fair
Art
in
Fair?
Chicago.
Yeah.
So I thought it's the one and only opportunity to visit Indianapolis and have a chat with you.
I am truly glad. Let's go back for a minute before we get ready to wrap up. And thanks for flying all the way from London to Chicago,
my
to
pleasure.
Indianapolis. I love it.
Thanks for having me.
I love it.
I said that I'm completely honored to be here.
I want to go a little bit deeper because just to know that you took that beast mindset to not be held down by tradition, to not be held down by somebody else's beliefs on what you should be. Do you hear from people back in your hometown that probably didn't think you can do it, and now how do they feel about it now?
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot. Why would you even do that? Why even, oh, you're not good enough. This is completely impossible to do. I've heard so many things over the years that is difficult even to sum up this. Always, and even now, I'm hearing those things that is completely unattainable, not achievable. Why would you even try?
Are you like a Joan of Arc of your culture? Like, are they looking at you going, wow, especially females? Like, are they looking at you going, wow, if she can do this and take this leap of internal faith and go out and do what she wants to, have that beast mindset? I mean, how does that make you feel? Do you feel like a Joan of Arc of Poland?
I'm not sure. Maybe. I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad I can inspire some people. That's for sure. And I'm glad that you could show that you can be different and you can make a difference.
What do you tell your daughter?
What am I? Sorry.
Like, what do you tell your daughter? Like, she sees her mom with. Do you tell her your story?
Hardly ever, to be honest, because when I had my daughter is my first child. I had son also, but he's younger. At that time, in my mind, I knew for sure that this kind of mindset I experienced as a young child and later growing up, that is definitely not gonna go to my daughter. That is literally stopping at me, and it's not going further. So the way I brought them up is totally different. So they living in London, they absolutely educated and smart. They know everything about the world. They both in a good school, in a Bexley Grammar, where the selective school that you have like really hard exams to get into. My daughter, she's doing really good at school. She got invited to Oxford University to do the study at the age of 15, and the following year she did similar study in Cambridge University. So they don't. I'm not even telling them much about my past, to be honest, because I don't want to stop them. Maybe when they're older, but it's this fear of telling them that, oh look, mommy had this story or that story. I don't think they would be even understanding this, because they have such an open minds. They literally don't know that they can be limited. It amazes me, but also I'm quite shocked how thin line is between being in that position and this position.
I was just going to ask that, like, I know you've already moved forward, but just imagine, do you ever think if you didn't take that leap, what your life may have been like?
It scares me.
Really? Why does it scare you?
Because the way I see it, if you miss those opportunities, if you don't change soon enough and kind of like not shift, your life can end up like very different. You could be sitting like in a one place doing nothing, or just just existing, and many things never would happen to you. So you have to like kind of be open-minded, take those opportunities going your way. In my mind, is very important. Very important.
Before we wrap up, how can the viewers reach out to you, know more about the project that is called, let me read it to you once again. It is called The Gold Blue Dust. How did that name even come about? You got three names going on here. Gold, Blue, Dust. How did they come about?
Well, So blue, for a long time, blue was my favorite color. So
You said was.
yeah, but then I realized that I'm kind of a person who doesn't want to be limited to one thing. I like to have many choices,
Okay.
which probably also coming from my past. So partially, I spent a long time thinking about the name, as silly as it sounds, and I came up with many other names. And after a while, there was a few names I already had, but then I started, no, that doesn't work. I have to change. So one evening, I just sat down and I had to limit that to something. So I thought the best for me will be the name which contains a few things, so you've got a choice. And that's why I came up with because I'm an artist, I started as an artist, I came up with the colors. So gold, blue, and dust because I'm also a programmer and a coder. So dust kind of reminds me of these little pieces of information which you all kind of want to catch and put together in one beautiful story.
It sounds like a lot of symbolism in there too.
That's what I do. A lot of talking.
So once again, how can the viewers reach out to you and support you and know more about your journey?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, how can the viewers reach out to you? Like, how can they contact you, follow you?
Oh yeah, please follow me. I've got an account on Instagram, Gold Blue Dust Story, Gold Blue Dust. So just please follow me, and I'm planning to open YouTube channel and extend that story in a very near time. So
when is this book or this avatar type thing that you're creating with the 3 characters? When is it supposed to be released? And how can we watch it?
It's gonna be, at the moment, I'm testing it on Instagram and other social media. It's not released fully yet, but okay. I wanted to try first YouTube, and then we see what's gonna come out of it. It hasn't been promoted yet, but I'm planning to do that in a very nearest future.
And I see it's going to be a success, because if you're this determined to leave your beliefs, start a new belief, start a new family, a new venture, and that's definitely that beast mindset. You know what? Thank you so much for taking time to come in. I asked the viewers to make sure that you subscribe, like, follow her. All it takes, people, is one click to make a difference in somebody's life. Let's start here today. She came all the way from London, all the way from Chicago to stop by the one, the only Andre the Beast Crayton. Show.